Hello, friends. Welcome to the LeggLife podcast. My name is Adam.
My name is Sherry.
Sherry Beth. This is episode number
6.
6 episodes.
6.
The streak continues.
Yeah.
We're doing so good with taking care of this weekly. Mm-hmm. Now, today, I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah.
We were talking about what we wanted to do a podcast on, and we just kind of wanted something sort of, honestly, kind of light.
Yeah.
You guys know we've been dealing with some pretty heavy, sort of serious medical stuff lately, and so for a podcast, we thought, you know what? We don't want to deal with anything serious and heavy. Let's go light.
Yep.
And so, Sherry Beth, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about how we are different.
We are definitely talking about how we are different. We sat down and came up with a number of things that we just do differently that honestly, I think to each of us, it's just so confusing.
Yeah.
It's like, why does she do it that way? Or why does he do it that way?
Right.
And so that's what we're going to do is we're just going to jump into talking about some specific ways we do things differently. And honestly, this episode, let's be very clear from the beginning. It's probably essentially just going to be different ways that I act like a toddler.
Well, I was going to say that. And I mean, it's not intentional, but I think I am very anal retentive in some things and a little bit OCD. And so he is just very much not. And it was funny coming up with this list because I'm just like, oh my gosh, why do you do that?
It was really funny because even coming up with the list, like I had the thought in my head, I was like, wow, Sherry puts up with a lot. Like that was kind of my takeaway. It was like, oh geez. So this is the Sherry puts up with a lot episode as we talk about specific things that we do vastly different.
Yes, but I still love you.
I still love you very much, and I'm really going to try to not defend myself. like every single point to try to not like.
No, that's okay. I mean, if you have your way of doing it, that's fine. It just stresses me out.
Well, let's talk about one of the things. Mm-hmm. Let's start with one of the things that I know stresses you out the very most.
Oh my gosh.
So this has to do with the device that we use the most in our lives. Mm-hmm. Our phones.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how you use your phone because it's always at 1%. Like, how do you do this?
Oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know why, but I live my life with my phone between like 0 and, I would say realistically, 0 and 20%. Like, my phone's battery is normally in the red.
He's never seen it green before.
I didn't know it got green. Like, I didn't know that was a color option. Where are you, like, okay, right now, let's talk about where we're at right now. Keeping in mind, my phone has been plugged in for about 5 minutes.
Mine has not been plugged in all day.
And what percentage are you at?
94%.
I'm at 17%. I was at 8% when I plugged my phone in.
So I think my phone was plugged in when I was working this morning.
Okay.
And it has not been plugged in since then. Wow.
So, okay, here's my thing.
No, I lied. I took a nap this afternoon, and it was plugged in then.
Okay, see?
For an hour or so.
That's good.
Okay.
Here's my argument.
But still.
Now this is where I defend myself.
Right, okay.
First of all,
you were not going to do this?
Well, and then I quickly changed my mind because I need to be heard.
Okay.
So this is one of the reasons that I wanted to get new phones. Was that the battery on my old phone was terrible.
Yeah.
And I would wake up after charging it all night when I remembered to charge it all night. I'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. And if my phone was at 100% in the morning, by lunchtime, it was at like 16%.
Right.
So I had like horrible...
You're also on your phone a lot.
All the time.
Right.
Completely. But with my new phone, with the new 12s we have, the battery life is so much better that I have not been in the red nearly as much.
Like that mine has been unplugged for 9 hours and is still at 94%.
Okay, I want you to tell the peoples, the listeners, what you feel when your phone dips below, like what percent do you start feeling anxiety? 50%?
Yeah.
If I have...
Like, for sure. If I'm at 50%, I'm like, I have to plug my phone on right now. Like, it needs to be plugged in. I'm stressing out. It's going to die.
Oh my God.
50%.
Okay.
When I get that 20% notification, I'm in, like, full anxiety mode.
I've seen nights when, like, we're just hanging out in the living room and Sherry's phone, that's the end of the day, it's been a long day, Sherry's phone, like, will dip below 10% and you can watch the anxiety come over her. It's almost like she's twitching and looking for a power cord. It is so funny.
Yeah.
And me, I'm just like, that's my life, baby doll. Like,
you live on the edge.
This is where I live. I heard about, there's an app that you can only use, it's like a chat app, and you can only use it if your phone's below like 10%. And I think it's called something like We're All Going to Die. And basically it's just the place you can chat with other people as all your phones are dying together.
I would literally never even join that because...
See, those are my people. Like if I ever like need to make friends, I'm just getting that app and hanging out there because those are my people. Oh my gosh.
I cannot.
Okay.
I just can't.
So batteries were different.
Yep.
Very much.
Very.
But there's another thing on our phones that makes us different as well.
Yep.
Let's talk about the apps.
The apps. I can't ever find anything on his phone. He has 800,000 apps on his phone. None of them are in their little like groupings. They're all individual. And I'm just like, how?
I didn't know apps were supposed to have groupings.
You have to like scroll through 50 pages of crap to find what you're looking for.
It's true.
Like, what? How do you do that? All of my apps, every last app, all of them fit on one screen. So I don't have very many apps to begin with. I only have the ones that I actually use.
And they're in like all of the normal groupings.
They're in their grouping, so I have like all of my social media in one, and I have all of my games in one, and I have all of my Disney stuff in one. I have all of my book stuff in one. Like, and all of my apps, well, all of those categories are alphabetized, and then the apps within the categories are also alphabetized.
See, that's the... I would never think to even do that.
I know. So when he found that out, this was years ago, and he was like, wait, are your apps alphabetized? And I was like, yes, they are. And his response was, oh, honey.
That was exactly what I said. I was like, oh, honey.
Oh, honey.
Like, my apps, there is no organization of the apps on my phone. It's not like, oh, this page is all like creative apps, or this page is all like banking and finance, or this page is all travel.
No, it's like wherever they landed when he downloaded the app.
And I'm about to tell you something that I don't think you know that I think is going to drive you even more insane.
Oh gosh.
So, probably a couple years ago, I did make the decision that I was, you know what, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try Sherry's method. And so I had created like a grouping of like social for like different social media. And then I created a grouping of like travel. So I have probably 5 or 6 different groupings. But what happened is that I stopped using those groupings. And so I still have a few apps in there. But as I add new apps, I don't add them there. So like I have a social grouping, but then I also have like 11 other social media apps that are not in that grouping. That are just like randomly through all of my pages.
I can't. So literally when I download a new app, like I sit there and I watch it download. And as soon as it's there, I move it to where it needs to be.
Oh my God.
Like I can't handle having that one app sitting out on that extra page. I cannot do it.
Such a foreign concept to me. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. But,
I don't know why I'm like that, but I just can't.
Well, but here's the thing. Let's be very clear. Yours is a better way, right? Like I'm going to admit
well,
this
and it's funny because
clearly.
then he's like, so wait, but how do you find your Instagram? I'm like, go to the social media and click on Instagram. Like it's right there. Everything you need is right there.
But for me, I'm just like, oh, that's interesting because I just know Instagram as it's on page 13 of my apps. Just like swipe to the right 13 times and you'll get to Instagram. Like that's how it is for me.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that both of us, if we had to use each other's phone, we would just be like not able to find anything ever.
I would use it for 30 seconds and then organize it because I can't.
I would, oh my gosh, what if I took your phone and moved all of your apps out of the folders?
I would hate you so much.
I wouldn't do that
I
to you.
would be angry. What if I took your phone and moved them all into folders?
I would sell my phone and buy a new one. I would restore from backup prior from when you did that, so I could have my own brand of chaos back.
Oh my gosh.
So this kind of app craziness, moving on to the next topic, doesn't just stick to our phones.
No, it carries through to our computers.
Let's talk about our desktop icon, Sherry.
He was laughing so much at my work computer. I have like the dual monitors on my computer here at home. And I have 5 folders on it.
On dual monitors.
On my dual monitors. 5.
I have a 15-inch MacBook Pro laptop that I work from, but I have 85 icons on my screen.
My monitors are pretty big. They're, 30 inches or so. Both of them. And I have literally 5 folders.
See, I look at your dual monitors and I'm just like, oh man, you could have 400 things on your desktop.
I could, but I don't. It stresses me out. And so everything has its little place. And I want to, so also the background on my monitors is Castaway Tea. And I want to be able to see it. I want to feel like I'm there.
That's so funny. In fact, mine is so bad on my desktop that on MacBook, you can like make the icons smaller or bigger. and I've had to make them as small as you can just to fit more of them on my screen because it takes up my whole screen if I have them normal size.
Why? How do you find anything?
Well, I use the search bar a lot. Like, I'm going to be really honest.
You wouldn't have to use that if you just kept things organized.
Yeah, I understand that concept. like theoretically, but practically,
oh my gosh,
that's really not my vibe.
It takes 2 seconds just to organize it.
But then the search bar gets cobwebs, and I feel like the search bar starts to feel lonely.
It's fine.
I don't know. So yeah, so our phones totally different. Our desktop's totally different.
Yeah.
But there are some other specific things not tech related.
No.
And there's one of them that comes up most days.
Most days. So when we are drinking like a glass of water,
yeah,
I will finish the glass of water and then put it by the sink. What do you do?
Well, good question. I do something different.
Something different you do.
I finish my glass of water.
No, you don't.
Well, hold on. I didn't say 100%. For whatever reason, and here's the thing. This is one of those things that's so confusing to me about why I do this, because I genuinely don't know.
Like you're physically unable
I feel
to
like
finish the glass of water.
I finish like 93% of the glass of water. Every time I finish a glass of water, there is still like a half an inch of water at the bottom of the glass.
Every single time.
Every time.
Every single time. So
I
then
don't
I go to
know.
like load the dishwasher and there's water flying everywhere because there's still water in the glass.
I don't know how this happens.
I don't know either. I don't understand it. And for a while, I was throwing the water on him. So I said, any water that's left in your cup, I am dumping on you.
You would have thought.
It didn't work.
I was gonna say, you would have thought I would have learned my lesson.
You didn't.
No,
You did not.
I just got covered in water a lot. And eventually Sherry realized, well,
This isn't working.
I'm not getting anywhere with this guy. Oh my gosh. So yeah, glasses of water. Like we do that so differently. And that's the thing, is that I genuinely don't know that I do that.
Right.
And it's so...
And I don't understand it.
It's so funny because like we'll end dinner most nights, or a lot of nights, and she'll be like, will you finish your water? I'm like, I did. And she'll just like hold up the glass. I'll be like, okay, sorry. Like I did finish it.
Oh my gosh. No, you didn't.
I'm sorry. I want to apologize right now.
Well.
Okay, so we've talked about glass of water,
Yeah.
dining. There's something else in the kitchen.
Okay, so this is something that I have brought up with him for 15 years.
And I didn't really believe you.
And he was like, I don't do that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He leaves the cabinet doors open or drawers or whatever. Like he gets into a cabinet and then he cannot shut the door. Or he'll leave like drawers open. So I'll come into the kitchen and there's 4 cabinets open and a drawer. And I'm like, what happened here? Why can we not close things?
Did we get robbed?
I know. And so like, it's literally 15 years. I'm just like, why is this happening? And he was like, I don't do that. And I'm like, oh, well, no, you do. And then Auburn stayed here. And she was like, why can you not close the cabinet doors?
And it was so funny because like hearing from another voice, I was like, wait, maybe I do that. And so now
Yeah, you for sure do.
I will say, I have now started to notice that. In fact, even earlier today, I went to walk out of the kitchen and I like looked back and the drawer where like our silverware is was like half open. I was like, damn it. And so I walked back to the kitchen and closed it. And so it's starting to annoy me as well.
Good.
So I'm hopeful that if we were to record this podcast a year from now, this item would not be on this list.
That would be nice.
Because don't worry, I'm still going to have my phone battery at 3%, and there's still going to be water in the bottom of all my glasses. But the drawers
will be closed. Okay. I'll take it.
Okay, Sherry, now let's talk a little bit about a nail kit. This is an obscure one that is pretty funny.
Yeah, and it's not just a nail kit, it's the example that I came up with.
So we have, you guys probably have seen these, like the little like nail kits, right? It has nail clippers, has like a file. It normally like, it closes on itself and there's normally like some kind of a snap. Mm-hmm. Tell me how you use that.
Well, I use the item and then I put it back the way that I found it.
Like in the little holder that's in there.
In the holder.
In the space.
Right. In the way that it's supposed to go into the holder.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's an option. I assume in my toddler brain that as long as I can...
Very cute toddler brain.
Don't flirt with me on a podcast. That as long as I can get that buckle to close, that snap to close, I'm good. And so I will use the nail kit or the file or the nail clippers, and I'll put everything back in there. Like, the problem is that I normally don't put them like back in their spot, like back in their little elastic holder or anything like that.
No.
I just put them in the nail kit and then like force close the snap.
Yeah.
And think, man, I really did a good job putting stuff away. Look at me go.
Look at me putting stuff away. No, you didn't. It's not just the nail kit. It's a lot of things. Like you just don't put things back the way that you found them.
What? That's true.
Yeah. So, like, specifically with the nail kit, that's why I came up with this example, because things have to go back in a certain way in order for it to close neatly.
I bet.
And not, like, forcing it closed.
But
he'll put the clippers in. He'll put the clippers in like upside down, and like the whole clipper thing like through the elastic when it's just supposed to be the bottom part, so it kind of clips over. I love you.
I feel like in this podcast there are so many people like yelling at their device, being like, "Thank you!" Like they're feeling validation because in their relationships or their friendships that they're relating to some of this.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so. I will say, I don't know how many times in our 15 plus years of marriage, the term, "where are my scissors?" has been said. And every time Sherry says that, without fail, I'm the last one to have used the scissors.
Correct, because you don't put them back.
No, I set them somewhere. Like,
that's not helpful.
Yeah, who knows where? That's where the scavenger hunt begins.
Oh, gosh.
All right, Sherry.
Yeah.
We're going to end on the last item. And we're going to take it to the bedroom.
Oh, boy.
Not like that, though. It's a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, because we are very different.
Oh, my gosh.
Even in the way we occupy a bed. Right?
Correct.
Let's talk a little bit about this.
Well.
How do you use pillows and blankets? Which seems like the most basic question ever.
How do I use a pillow? I lay on it.
Mm-hmm.
I lay my head on the pillow.
Weird.
And I lay the blanket over me.
Huh.
Correct. This is a foreign concept to Adam. He generally uses blankets as pillows.
It's true.
He balls them up.
Yeah.
And then he wonders why he's freezing.
I can't figure it out.
And he also will ball up his pillows into tiny, tiny balls. And
don't say tiny balls. Who said we're going to keep it
like
clean?
He destroys his pillows. So he goes through pillows. Like, I don't know. Like, you go through so many pillows. Like, I will use the same pillow for years.
Somewhere there is a pillow salesman out there who is driving like a Maserati based just on the commission checks that I've gotten him.
Correct.
I fly through them.
Yes.
It's because I'm a buncher.
I know.
The concept of a pillow laid flat that you just lay down and lay your head on is so weird to me. I'm like, who uses a pillow like that? Like,
normal people.
I don't know. Because normally so on the bed, how many pillows? Like, perfect night for you. Let's say I'm not even there. I'm away on a business trip touring with Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
But let me live my dream, Sherry.
Sure.
How many pillows would you have on your ideal bed for you to use?
2 for under my head and a body pillow.
Okay. I would have like 13. Right? Like, I would be like enrobed in a cocoon o pillow. And they would
because you use your pillows as blankets and your blankets as pillows.
It's really true. So I will grab my blanket and I will just like wrap it up and like snuggle it. Like, I'll just like hold it like a big blanket ball. And then I'm just like, where are my blankets? Oh, that's right.
Like, he wakes up in the morning and he's freezing.
I'm so cold.
And I'm like, well, this is your fault.
They're like, use your blanket. I was like, I am. She's like, not as a pillow. I'm like, oh.
Oh.
Yeah. And yeah, so my pillows, I'm a buncher. Like, I'm not a lay my head flat on my pillow.
And I have to yell at him when he tries to use my pillow.
That's true. We actually have a rule in our marriage that if I use Sherry's, now this is not even a joke. Mm-hmm. If I use Sherry's pillow, I have to just use it like a pillow. I have to just lay my head on it. I'm not allowed to bunch her pillows.
Right.
Like, and so it's
so funny to me. Like, I'll get a text from him, like, when I'm at work, and it's a picture of him laying, like, on my pillows, and he's like, I'm laying on it like a Christian.
Yeah. I'm just like, I just want to let you know that I'm using your pillow, but I'm using it correctly. Like, I have to justify the way I use a pillow. So absurd.
Well,
so you guys, those are just some ways that we some specific things that we're vastly different in.
Yeah.
But Sherry, we have found a way. Now, some of these things, it's really funny, like, are infuriating to each other.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like crazy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've kind of learned to Like, these aren't points of contention in our relationship.
No, honestly, like, it's mostly just funny. Like, I mean, the glass of water. Like, why can you not just finish your damn water? I don't understand it.
I don't either.
But it's, yeah, like, it's not anything that has caused, like, fights. I think it's a funny thing that I'm just like, why are you the way that you are?
That's one of the things that I actually really appreciate about our relationship is that, like, I know people that these kind of things, this would, like, turn into a fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and to me, here's the thing is that we do these things differently. Does it make sense to each other? Absolutely not. But is it worth, like, getting snippy at each other about?
Like, causing contention in our marriage?
No.
I don't think so.
Like, none of
I
these...
think there's other things that we can fight about.
Yeah.
These don't need to be them.
That's exactly right. The fact that my phone's always at 2% doesn't need to be an argument. But it is funny because, like, my phone will die and then I'll just, like, that's when I get up and plug my phone in when it died.
Yeah.
Whereas you get up and plug your phone in when it's, like, below 50%.
Yep.
Not me.
Nope.
I'm like, oh, my phone just shut off. Where's a power cord? Oh my gosh. So you guys.
Well, no, we were going to touch on you waking up to a dead phone.
Oh my gosh.
Why is that, Adam?
Okay, so wow, I feel a little accused. I am on my phone a lot, right? It's an addiction. I fully admit that. Like, I don't even live in delusion about that. I know that I'm addicted to my phone. So a lot of times, like, I'll lay in bed and just scroll, right? I'm just, like, scrolling through social media. I'm just, like, reading news articles. I'm just, like, I'm on my phone in bed. The problem is that, like, a lot of nights I fall asleep on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I'll wake up and, like, of course, because I toss and turn and I roll my pillows and I bunch my pillows, my phone is always, like, somewhere, like, somehow it's, like, down under my thigh. And I'm like, how'd it get there? But then it's dead. I'm just like, my phone is, like, 0%, totally shut off.
To start the day.
To start the day, I'm sleeping on top of it. Like, my leg has a line in it from my pop socket. Like, how was that comfortable? Yet for me, that's a normal thing.
It is. And here's the thing. We tried to cure this because so I have, like, a 10-foot cord for my iPhone.
It's true.
And it's plugged in 2 feet away from my head. Mm-hmm. So, like, I have all this extra cord so that I can kind of lay whichever way I want to in the bed. I don't have to be, like, facing my bedside table in order for my phone to be charged.
Correct.
That has worked really well for me.
Yeah.
But I also put my phone down every night.
Yeah.
We bought you a 10-foot cord.
I thought it was such a good idea.
So that you could have it plugged in and lay whichever way you want.
Such a good idea.
How often do you use that 10-foot cord?
I bet I use it once every other week.
Yep.
That's probably true.
It's plugged in on his side of the bed.
And you know what's funny is that every time I use it, I'm like, man,
this is great.
This is great. Why don't I use this more? I am a moron.
Well,
I want to publicly on this platform in front of God and our listeners apologize for all of the things you have to put up with, and I'm so thankful for the fact that you put up with these with grace and and compassion for how much of a Neanderthal I am, because I apparently don't know how to finish water or close cabinet doors.
Well,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I love you.
I apologize for being so OCD about things.
Your phone is the most confusing thing to me.
But look, you can find everything you want. It's all just right there.
Are those all of your apps on one screen?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's not...
Look, no little dots. I don't have any extra screens.
Here, Sherry, look at my screen.
Oh gosh.
Just look at... Well, hold on. Look how many scrolls.
Why are there so many?
I don't know. So, there we go. That was fun.
It was.
All right, Sherry Beth. We end all of our podcasts with 2 questions. Mm-hmm. Those questions are... And the whole idea behind these questions, you guys, just so you know, is that...
because you're an Enneagram 2.
Is because I'm an Enneagram 2.
And an extrovert. That's
exactly right. I'm these things, and so since I do the podcast editing, I came up with these questions.
Yep.
But these actually are the kind of questions that we do try to check in with each other about on a fairly regular basis. They're just kind of like sort of lift your eye kind of questions, right? Especially during a time like we've had lately where things have just been such a bummer and just dealing with a lot of, it seems like negative stuff. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes you have to be intentional about finding the positive or the good. So Sherry, the 2 questions we end every podcast is, what is something that has been bringing you joy lately? Or who is someone that has been inspiring you lately? Do you have an answer for those this week or for one of those?
I do.
Okay.
You have been very inspiring to me.
What?
You have taken such good care of me in all of this, and like running to the store every time I need more lotion or whatever. and just making sure that I am well loved and well taken care of, and I am inspired by that because that is something I wish I was better at. Like, you bend over backwards to make sure that I'm comfortable, and which has been increasingly difficult.
Yeah.
The last few weeks. And you haven't complained. You haven't gotten short with me. I haven't ever felt like I'm an inconvenience, even though I for sure am. And I really appreciate that. And I wish that I was more like that.
Well, I have genuinely loved taking care of you. I will say that. And part of that's in Enneagram too. I think the hardest thing for me during all of this has been that, and maybe this is one of the reasons that I've loved taking care of you, is that we don't have answers. And ultimately there's really not a lot I can do, but what I can do is, you know what I mean? Like, make sure we have lotion on hand, and make sure that, like, you have all your meals, and make sure you have. And so I think that it's that so much of right now feels out of control, that the things that I can control, I want to be in control of.
Yeah, but you've done a really good job of it.
Thanks, love.
And, like, making sure that I'm taking my medicine, and making sure that I have a snack in order to take my medicine, even if it's 11 o'clock at night. I have just been really appreciative of that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Love you a whole bunch.
Love you too.
My answer to this question is something that happened earlier tonight. And it is something that a viewer actually sent you.
Yeah.
Was it Donna? Is that right? Mm-hmm. Who sent this to you? So Donna sent a book to Sherry. I think it came yesterday.
Yep.
Right? And the book is called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. I had never heard of this book before.
I haven't either, and I have not read it yet.
I read it in probably, it's probably 15 or 20 minutes. It's highly illustrated. It is written in like it looks like a fountain pen kind of script. So it's a little hard to read as far as like the style. Like the words are a little hard to read at some places for me. But I told Sherry when I finished it, that's one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah, so I didn't know what he was doing. He was out in the living room and I was in the bedroom, and I just kind of heard like pages rustling, but I didn't know what he was doing. And he finished it and he said, "Sherry." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I just read this book." And wow. Like it was almost like you just didn't have words.
I didn't have words. This book and this story touched me on an emotional level and like a spiritual soul level. Wow. It was the kind of thing, and I remember my first thought when I finished, I closed the book and I thought, I want to buy this for every person I know. Like, I want to give this book to 100 people that like come to my mind as I was reading it. It is such a story of kindness and beauty and friendship and love and acceptance and home. And it's just like, again, it's super short. It's interesting because you look at the book and it doesn't look like it'd be a quick read, but there's not a lot to it. It's, it's big, like I said, big scripty words and a lot of pictures. And it moved me in a way that I haven't been moved by a book I honestly could not tell you the last book I read that had that kind of an impact on me.
Wow.
Genuinely inspiring to me. And so that would be mine. In fact, like to the point where like I want to read it again tomorrow.
I want to read it tonight.
It's so unbelievably good.
Yeah.
So that's what has been bringing me joy.
I'm glad.
Was reading that book for sure. So friends, there it is, episode number
6
on the LeggLife podcast. Also, thanks so much. You guys have just absolutely like responded so well to this podcast. We have been checking like the number of times you guys listen, and it seems like you guys are really enjoying it. We heard from a lot of you guys over on Instagram and on Facebook that you've been listening, that you're enjoying the podcast. So thank you so much to all of you who are listening. Mm-hmm. We are really enjoying doing this.
We are. This has been a lot of fun.
It has been fun. It's been fun just to sit down and get to have these kind of conversations, even when the conversation is about me being a giant toddler who doesn't even know how to finish his own water.
Well, sure. I'm
a 40-year-old man. I should know how to drink a glass of water.
You should, yes. You would think. Especially with the amount of water that you drink, that you would be able to finish it.
Apparently not. Maybe I'm not drinking as much water as I thought I was because none of my glasses were ever finished. Oh my
You're like,
God.
I've had 8 glasses of water. Oh, no, I actually only, well, no.
Sherry's like, you had 5. It's like,
You had 5
okay.
glasses of water.
Friends, thanks so much for listening. We love you guys a whole bunch, and we'll see you next week on the LeggLife podcast.